Well, whoops. Okay, now we're live because I'm also periscoping this program as well. So hi, everyone in Periscope land. And if I don't see everybody either in the comments or in the Periscope, forgive me because we're doing a live interview with Biba Pedron on Blab. And so I'm going to focus most of my time and attention on her. Lots of great questions, and feel free to ask questions if you want to join us. If you're looking on Periscope and you'd like to join us on Blab IM, you can find us at Heidi Richards. Blab IM, Heidi Richards, and you will find today's live broadcast. So let me tell you a little bit about Biba. But first, let me tell you who I am. My name is Heidi Richards Mooney. I am the founder of Redhead Marketing Inc. and also Women in E-Commerce. We have an event coming up called the Golden Mouse Awards. We do this every year. We honor women who do tremendous business on the web. And so all of our guests currently are focusing on how they manage their businesses on the web in various aspects. And so today I have the honor of interviewing a past honoree, Biba Pedron, who is also known lovingly as the Connection Queen. And Biba is the author of Start Your Dream Business Today and Stop Pitching and Start Networking, both #1 bestsellers on Amazon. And in fact, years ago, I met Biba online through a book I found of a networking book she had written. And I reached out to her and we became fast friends. And then luckily for me, she moved to South Florida a few years ago and we actually got to connect in person. So it's really amazing how you meet these people online and then you get the opportunity to give them not a virtual hug, but a real hug and shake their hands and just get to know them. So Biba, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me. And actually, what's interesting is that I think the very first interview I did was with you in 2004, 2005, I think, when you asked me to do the interview for the magazine. That was my first or second interview only. And I was said, wow, somebody found me and asked for my interview. And today we do my first Blab and my first Periscope. So I do the first with you all the time.
Oh, wow. You know what? I feel so honored because you did. Oh my goodness. This is historical moment for everybody listening in. This is definitely history in the making. And Biba, I'm truly honored because I've learned a lot from you over the years. You truly are the Connection Queen. So tell everybody a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, so for people who don't know me yet, so they will probably notice my accent. So I'm French. I moved to the United States in 2003. And just because I was a dream when I was a little girl to move to the United States. So actually, I didn't know how I would be able to get there. And for a few years, I went only for vacation. Then I tried to find a job. And then I realized finding a job was easy, but getting a visa was not the easiest part. So one day I decided that I will start my own business in France. And actually, the reason why I did it also, it's because one day I wanted to come for 2 weeks in vacation in the US. And my boss didn't want to let me go. And I said, 2 weeks is way too long. So I said, no, that's the day that I decide that I will be my own boss. So that way nobody will tell me what I can do. So I did few research and I actually quit my job on a Friday evening to start a business on Monday morning, just to be able to have the freedom to travel whenever I wanted. So I said, that way one day I can bring my business to the United States. So I started in 1998 as a virtual assistant because since I started from Friday to Monday, I had no clients, no saving. I used to make a lot of money at that time, but I was also spending all the money. I never saved any money at that time. So I had no money. I pretty much didn't know how to use a computer, and I didn't know what it was to be an entrepreneur because I didn't have entrepreneur around me. But I said, I want to start something where I just need a computer, internet, which it was the beginning of internet at that time, and a phone. And I want to be able to transfer my business at some point wherever I am. So I built a business in France for 2 years. And after 2 years, I came back to the US and I did a test for 2 weeks. And I actually, within 6 months, I changed from VA, virtual assistant, to telemarketing company. And then 2 years later, I called off my clients. I say, you know what? I'm going to go to New York for 2 weeks, but it's not a vacation. I will continue to do the work. I continue to do the phone calls for you, do the report, and do everything for you. And then I wanted to see if it will work and if I can take my business to New York. And then when I came back after 2 weeks, the people said, oh, by the way, when are you going in vacation to New York? And I said, well, it was not vacation. I just came back. And they were actually amazed that the work was done the same way that when I was in France. So then starting from there, I went back and forth, 3 months in New York, 3 months in Paris. Time to find a way to get the visa again. But that way, during my back and forth, I discovered something because I wanted to learn how to do business the American way. So I went for 3 months. I spent my 3 months during the summer at the library to read every books on marketing, communications, and everything on how to do business the American way. And then on every book, pretty much, I heard the word networking. And at that time, we didn't have networking in France, so I didn't know what it was. So I learned more, and then I read book about networking, and then I attended events. And my first events, actually, I stayed less than a minute because there's in a bar, there's so many people. I was so scared. I didn't really speak English at that time, and I'm a very shy person, which people don't want to believe me, but I'm really shy. So I don't like when there's a lot of people. So I took my name tags, I look around the bar, and I left in 1 minute. But then I continued to read some more books, and then I realized that, every book said, in the United States, 80% of the job were found with networking, and people who are entrepreneurs also find their clients through networking. So I decided to go back and then to at least talk to one person, and then the second time 2 people. And then I realized that one way to solve my problem, first, that I didn't pretty much speak English at that time, so it was difficult when there's a lot of people. And then the fact that I was shy and I don't know how to talk to people, I said, I will organize my own events. That way I can start my own business, and I will get my visa with that. So that's how I started it, and I organized events in New York actually for 5 years.
So, wow. And, it's just a perfect testimony to we can overcome anything. And the challenge for you was the not being able to speak English and the fact that you were shy, or, as I like to say, an introvert. And the simple thing is that an introvert is just a person who prefers to be with themselves. They get their own energy internally, as opposed to extroverts, which tend to get their energy from other people. I'm an introvert too. And people ask me all the time, well, you've started all these organizations. How can that be? And it's just that I love helping people. And I know you're the same way. And I think that that's one of the things. And when you work for yourself, you find ways not only to help yourself, but to help others in the process. So then it evolved from this networking queen to, I know you had the Biba network, and you had, and then of course as I said, the connection queen. People knew you as the person they could go to meet other people. So then, how did that evolve into like internet marketing, for instance? Because you were doing more of the virtual assistants and helping other people. Then how did you start doing internet marketing? Actually, just because when I started in the US, I organized the events, but I was not planning to do anything else. I saw that I would just organize events. But then within 2 years, people realized that we could see my name pretty much everywhere. And, you find me. I don't know how at that time, 10 years ago, but you find me. And then people say, well, how did you do it? Because we know that when you arrived 2 years ago, you didn't speak English and you didn't know anybody. And now we can see your name everywhere. And as you say, the name of my company is Biba for Network. We can see your logo everywhere. Say, how are you doing it? And I didn't have the feeling that I was doing something specific, but I said, well, if people say they see me everywhere, means probably I'm doing something correctly, something right. And then so people were asking me, so I said, okay, I was telling people, this is what I do, this is what I do. So I was just giving like some advices. And then at some point I started working with a coach, and he said, well, if everybody is asking you, means you have a secret. So you have to tell your secret. I said, I don't have any secrets. So it doesn't matter. You just tell them what you do. So in 2006, I created my first program, Power of Networking Secrets. And I recorded, I think it was 6 or 9 audios at that time. And I said, okay, so this is and plus a workbook. I said, okay, this is a program. You buy the program. You want to know what I'm doing, so buy the program, and that's it. Again, I didn't know that I will do something else after that. But then people bought the program and said, okay, now we know what you do, but we want you to help us to do it and to implement everything you're doing. So for me, the same way that I was helping people, connecting people, it was always helping people. But at some point, I realized that helping people and giving them help with a business, it's called being a coach.
So I said, okay, so I guess I become a coach. So that's how I started it. And then internet grew, and then social media arrived. And then so I like also to connect with people again. So, and then I had the same question again, how are you doing it? We can see you everywhere on social media, and we see you everywhere in French and in English. So do you spend the whole time on social media the whole day? And then at some point I say, absolutely not. I spend 15 minutes a day on social media. People say, that's not possible. You can't be 15 minutes a day and we see you everywhere. I said, well, but you just need a system. The same way that I teach a system for networking and a follow-up system, you just need a system for social media. So that's really how I get into all of these. And I love internet. And actually, it's really funny because I didn't go to France for the last 8 years. And 3 years ago, I decided to kind of switch the business more to the French market because everything was growing at that time about social media. They didn't really talk about social media 3-4 years ago. So I decided to start coaching in the French market. And the reason why I like social media and internet is because even if I never go over there, for the last 3 years, 90% of my clients are from French-speaking countries. So there's so many things that you can do with internet and with social media that today, whatever is your business, you really have to be on internet. And I remember one of my first French clients, she actually had a store and she sold candies. And, you know, when I told her, I said, well, you know, you will have to start on Facebook. And she said, how Facebook will help me with my store? I mean, people won't buy the candies from Facebook. Well, today, 2 years later, 80% of her sales comes from Facebook. And she lives in a very small island in France, so she's not even selling everywhere, just in the island close to Africa. And then with social media, learning how to use social media, you know, that's how we build her branding. We build everything with Facebook, and that's how she gets her clients. So I think that today, whatever you want to do, whether your business is online or not, you definitely need to use internet marketing and the web and social media in order to grow your business. And if you're not there, you're losing a lot of money on the table.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I tell every client I have that if you're not, and I still have a few clients who are very resistant to be part of certain social media networks. Some don't like Facebook, some don't like Twitter, some don't like LinkedIn. And, you know, we try to create these integrated campaigns to help people and show them that they all kind of work together. Now, there are some that work better than others for certain industries. And, you know, like LinkedIn's probably better for financial advisors and, you know, the financial industries, the legal industries. But, you know, there are ways to use all of these tools. So I really absolutely agree with you. So I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit about joint ventures and online events, because I know you're also the queen of those things. I know that you've done a lot of joint ventures. I've worked with you on a couple. I've been involved in some of your online events. So tell the audience, what are some of the steps that you need to take to reach out, like say, to potential joint venture collaborators and partners?
Yeah, partnership is very important. And that's one of the first things that I teach in the first program that I created in 2006, because you can promote one-to-one, but then, you know, it will take a long time to get your business get off the ground. So to do the partnership, it's very interesting. And I say that to all of my clients. People are scared to ask others. And I had a coaching session with the clients this morning. And actually, when we did last month, she said, I can't ask this person because they're well known. So they won't have any interest in me. They will say no. If I ask for an interview, if I ask to promote something, they will say no. And I say, how do you know they will say no? You don't know until you ask. So even if people you think that they're very higher than you, the more the celebrity or the visibility, whatever in your business, you have to ask people, you know, if you're good in your business, if you're good in what you do, even if you start the business, maybe you can bring them something. So of course you don't contact people and say, well, do you want to sell my product and I give you a commission? Well, that won't work. But you have to show them that you know what they do, you know how they do it, you have any interest in what they do. And then when you contact them, you know, they will probably check on you to see if you're professionals. And then you may contact 10 people and only 2 of them say yes. But then that's two more partners. And you can do so many things with that. And then suddenly you're not the only one promoting your business, but you have other people. And then when you do interview, for example, I recommend people to do interview all the time, because then it shows that you're with the movers and the shakers. So if you interview a lot of people, once again, it shows that you're very connected. And some people think, I can't contact this person because they will say no. And at first, of course, I did the very same things, but I realized, and it's becoming easier in France, but in the US, I think that was easier because when I moved like in 2003 in the US, I started doing seminars in New York. And I did seminar also for the networking, but also because I have another company where I help French people to start the business in the US. So I was doing seminar on how to start a business, on how to find a job in the US. And I realized that nobody knew who I was. And I had people kind of famous who came to do a seminar for like 15 or 20 people. And at that time I had no money. So I said, I can't pay you. I can't do anything. I just can ask you to come. Do you want to give some advice? And everybody said yes. I never had anybody who said no. And then when we finished the seminar, I said, oh, that was fun. When can I come again? So, and they came back again and they always say yes. So, and I had the experience again, it was last year when I relaunched the book, Start Your Dream Business Today. I wanted to give some bonuses with the book. So I said, who could I interview that would tell me on networking, on business, or something that I work with the book? So I contacted different people. I even contacted Oprah. We never know. Well, of course, she didn't reply, but next time, maybe, I don't know. So, but I contacted like about 6 people, and 2 of them replied like immediately. And I know that you know him, but Bob Berg replied within 30 minutes. He doesn't know who I am. He has no clue on who I am. I sent him an email, a nice email. I said, well, I know you for a few years already. I read different of your books. This is what I'm doing. I would like to do a bonus from my book, and I'm do a series of interview. Well, he said yes. And I have an hour interview with him. Same thing with Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI. I mean, he's here and I'm here. We can say that. And he doesn't know who is Biba Pedron at all. And then he said yes. And I have a great interview for 1 hour with him. So it doesn't matter if people know who you are or not. What is very important is the approach that you have. Of course, you have to show them that you know who they are, you know what they do, and you have an interest in what they do. And you don't approach them and say, do you want to sell my product? That won't work. But if you do your research, I mean, you contact people and some of them will say no, some of them will never reply. It doesn't matter. You just contact the next one and then you have more people doing partnerships. So the same thing when I do a telesummit. You were my guest when I did my first telesummit in 2011. So I decided to do a summit. I said, who do I contact? So I wanted 12 women. So I contacted 12 women. So I probably contacted 15 and some of them couldn't be ready at that time. But I had the 12 women. I did the same thing this year when I did Biz Woman Success. So I wanted 9 guests. So I contacted different people. Some of them were not available at that time. But I find other people. And even if the one who were not available today, it doesn't mean that they don't want to work with me. It's just not the right moment. So which means the next time I have a project, well, they know that what I do is professional. So which means the next time if they're available, they may say yes. So never assume that people will say no to you. Just approach them in a professional way. And then that's how you will build the partnership.
I totally agree. I mean, I've done so many events online, and my very first online event was 2005. And I contacted Jay Berkowitz, the founder of 10 Golden Rules, and Tom Antion, and I could go on and on, Kathleen Gage. These were all just men and women just starting out, but they had already made a name for themselves online. And I just found them. And I did exactly what you said. And I think that the key, what you just said, the key is don't worry about whether you know them or not. Try to get over your lack of confidence and worrying about whether they know you. And just reach out to them. Do your homework, as Biba said, and that's what I've done. And I've had very few people say no. And again, timing is everything. And in anything you do online, I started this EntreprenHer show kind of on the fly a month ago, and I've already got a full docket. And it's kind of scary because I don't know if I can even keep up, because everybody I've approached has said yes, they'd love to be on the show, which is great. For me and for them, I think, because my whole goal is I love showcasing other people and their expertise. Not only do I learn from them, but I'm able to interact with some of the greatest internet marketers and social media leaders in the world. So don't be afraid. I see more and more people starting online events today than ever before, and I applaud them because they're doing that, because it really isn't, you have to have the time, you have to put in the time and the effort, and you have to do everything correctly. It's well worth it. The payoff. I mean, I didn't even realize that, Biba, this is your first time doing a blab. So, I'm thrilled to be the person, the Periscope. I'm thrilled to be that person, to be the catalyst for that.
And there's so many tools today, like those tools. I mean, it's so easy now. Before, when you wanted to do a radio show or something, you needed to have a lot of equipment and very expensive. Now it's from your computer, from everywhere in the world, you can do something. So it's really easy for people to do it. And people, thanks to internet, we can connect globally. So it's easy. I did an interview not a few months ago for somebody in Spain. I recorded yesterday for Telesummit that from a woman who is in Australia. So, internet is so great. And that's the reason why you really have to grow your visibility online and offline, but, online for globally. And then that way people contact you. As long as they see that you're professionals, well, they will contact you and they will invite you to the show, to the Telesummit, or to the events, or whatever they have.
That's true. That's true. And once they start hearing your name, it seems like you are, like you said, everywhere. You made a great point earlier about networking. And I always tell people, just show up consistently over and over again. And after about a year, people think you've been there forever. It's so true, because they think, oh my gosh, I know who to ask. I see this person all the time everywhere. That's how I ended up writing some of my books, was just because I showed up. And I think that's half the battle. So let's talk a little bit about online events. What are some of the ways companies can use online channels to promote their online events?
Well, first of all, social media, that's the first place where they should use it. And as you said before, not everybody like every platform. Personally, I way prefer Facebook. But I know that it's also very important to be on all the platforms, because you never know where people will find you, and you never know which platform they like. So I don't like Twitter at all, but I connected my Facebook page with Twitter. So each time I post something on Facebook, I know it's go on Twitter, and I don't even have to go on Twitter. But I still get clients from Twitter, or people who will join my events because they saw it on Twitter. Same thing with LinkedIn. There's so many platforms today. You don't have to be on all of them, but at least make sure that you go on the biggest one. So there's 4 or 5 biggest ones. So you use those platforms in order to promote your events. And then we speak Blab, and we speak about Periscope. We speak about that. So that's new way in order to promote your events. There's Meetup. So I don't really use it, but that's another way to. Once again, you have to be omnipresent online. We have to see you everywhere. So you have to use all of the platform. And what is very important also is social proof. So the more people will see you, and the more people will see that people follow you or comment on what you do, that will show that, again, you do something good. So more people will want to follow your events also. And also, in order to grow your visibility, one thing that I recommend all the time is video testimonials. When you work with your clients and you have good results with your clients, and I started doing that 3 years ago. Now, pretty much, at least on the French market, each of my testimonials are video testimonials. And that's also helped to bring more people, because I can say that I'm the best one. Yeah, I believe it, but people don't have to believe me. I can mention, and it's true, that most of my clients double or triple their revenue within 3 months, but people don't have necessarily to believe me and say, oh, well, that's what she said because she wants us to buy her program, of course. But then when I do video testimonial, and that's bigger impact than just a writing testimonial, when you see one person, 2, 3, 10, 20, 30, at some point when everybody say, yes, I work with Biba and I triple my revenue within 3 months, then people look at it like, oh, maybe there's something right here. So the fact that they see people speaking about your services and speaking about you, that's also invite more people and engage more people to follow you whether you have like you're doing a webinar, whether you're doing a video, you're doing a blog, you're doing a Periscope. So it's really the social proof that will help, and testimonials are very, very big. And I noticed that not enough people use that today. And personally, the 3 ways that I bring most of the clients in my business, it's social media, mainly Facebook, webinars, and video testimonials. That's what's bring people. So of course, each time I do a webinar, the fact that they saw testimonials, they saw an ad on Facebook, that what will bring me people more on webinar. So really, you have to combine all the tools that we have today on internet, not only social media, but on internet. And once again, the key is to be omnipresent. But to be omnipresent in a good way. It's not like, oh, I'm tired to see her again. And but really people say, oh, you know, I can see her everywhere. And each time she says something interesting, and each time I learn something. So I want to learn even more. So you have more people who follow you. And that's the reason why you have to be everywhere. Because again, you never know when your next clients will come. So use all the platform.
Absolutely. And you made a few great statements. But first of all, I want to welcome everybody who's joined in the last few minutes. And thank you for your applause, or props, they call it here, but I call it applause because it's 2 hands. And I think when 2 hands go together, there's applause.
Oh, that's what I see.
I'm giving Biba applause.
That's cool. Thank you very much, everybody.
Wow.
More applause.
You know, you said so many important things there, and I want to focus a little bit on video testimonials because I agree with you. People don't use it enough. So tell us exactly what you do. So for instance, you have an event. If it's not a live event, how do you get people to give you a video testimonial? What platform or tools do you use to do that?
Well, as I say, for the last 3 years, most of my clients are in French or French-speaking countries. So obviously, I'm not over there. So there's 2 tools that we can use. I recommend Skype first because it's free. So for people who don't have the money to invest in anything, they can just do Skype, and that works perfectly. Personally, I use Camtasia, so that way I can do a little editing. So I think it's $600 or something. But I know also that for people who use Mac, there is a software that is actually $30 or $40 that you can use, and you have the 2 images next to each other the same way that we are here. So you can use that. You can use Google Hangout, of course. Google Hangout, it's free. So you don't necessarily need money in order to do that. So even people who start the business, if they have 1 or 2 clients, and usually what I recommend people when they start and they don't even have clients, so people tell me, yeah, but I don't have testimonials, I don't have clients. So what I recommend is to offer you services to 3 or 4 people, but people who are very targeted, or people who are your ideal clients. You offer them the services, and the payment will be the testimonials. And then you do testimonials, then you can use those videos on your website, you can use them on social media, and that starts your credibility. And Skype, it's perfect. I mean, if you in the same city have the person, then of course you can do the video next to each other, but it's not an issue if they're not in the same city or even in the same country or the same continent.
Absolutely. And there's another one you can use, is zoom.us. It's a webinar platform, but you can actually use it if you wanted to have a couple people come in and talk about what you do, and you're side by side. It's a little different in that you see a screen, but it'll work. I mean, there's so many ways to do this virtually these days.
And so many to do it for free. So it's not an excuse anymore to say, well, I can't do it because I don't know the technology, or I can't do it because I don't have the money. Just Skype, it's probably the easiest way. It doesn't cost anything, and you just record it. Actually, I use a call note, which is a free software on Skype, so you can record all the conversation, and that's record the audio and the video. So
what's that called?
Call Note, CALL, Note, NOTE, and it's free. So that's what the tool that I use, for example, to record all of my session with my clients. So my coaching session, they record it, so that way they can listen to it again, and it doesn't cost me anything. So to do the interview, I don't use Skype because, you know, you have the big image and the small image, and I prefer to have the 2 people next to each other. But if you just started, that will be fine. I mean, as long as people see you clients, so they see that they're real people, because you can have written testimonials, but we know that some people like to lie a little bit and they put like fake testimonials. Wow, there's so many applause there suddenly. I don't know what's happening, but okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then it's, wow.
Thank you,
somebody's in love with me, I guess. That's not.
Yeah, I love her. Well,
the button is stuck, maybe something.
Everybody should be in love with you. You're just amazing. So yes.
So it
I'm
really,
gonna give you a few too, because I can't let LaTanya give them all to you. That's okay.
So really,
it's not a competition.
When you do the video, I mean, it's great because people can see your client. They see where they come from. They see what the situation they were, how you help them. And of course, you ask them different questions. And the main question that I ask usually to people is, how did you find me? Why did you decide to work with me? What was the motivation to join my coaching or to join my mastermind? What's the result? What did we do and how did it work for you? With the investment, because I'm not cheap, so was the investment worth it? And did you, was it difficult to make the decision to invest? Did you have the money or did you have to find the money? I have a lot of people who take a loan or put on credit card in order to do it, but they knew that they needed the services. And then I said, if you have to say something, if you have to recommend the program to somebody else, what would you say? So it's like 4 or 5 questions and it's really easy, but it's funny because it's interesting when people hear the conversation that you have with your clients, because I have one client at the beginning of the year. She signed up with me and she told me that she was following me for 2 years. And she said, I didn't want to work with you because I thought you were coaching already people who are very high in the business. And I said, did I ever say that? I said, no, I never say that. She said, no, you never say that. But I had the feeling that was what your coaching was. And then I listened to the testimonials and I realized they were people like me. They were starting the business or they didn't know, or they had a business and they didn't know anything about social media, online and everything. And within 3 months, I see the result that they have. So now I come to you and I'm ready to work with you. So, it's very interesting because sometimes maybe I portray an image that I'm not sure, but in the conversation with the clients, they see really what we do with the clients. So that's the reason why it works very well.
Yes, and I love the comment that LaTanya says is when people give good value, it's sharing in the love in return.
Absolutely.
Biba is sharing value. Yes, Biba always has lots of great information to share. She's an open book. What I love about her and many of the women that we interview on these shows is that they don't mind giving up their secrets, because really there are no secrets. They've just done the work for us. They've actually looked and found the tools and resources that work. I have a Mac, so I use zoom.us, and then I screen capture a lot of things with Screencast-O-Matic, which you can also use for a PC. Other great tools. I wrote down Call Note on Skype. I think that's a valuable resource. And, the thing is that when you share these resources, then people understand what they're for. I think a lot of times we get all this stuff and we're like, oh my gosh, well, what is Camtasia and how do you use it? They give great videos so you can learn how to use it. But the fact is you need someone to tell you it's okay to use it. I think that's one of the things.
And I actually always say that, even when I was coaching on networking, give without expecting anything in return. So, and then when you don't expect anything in return, that's where you get even more, because some people are so scared to say, well, but if I give too much information, if I give too free information, people won't come and buy my services. But they said that's the opposite. It's because you give a lot of valuable information for free, then people notice that you're an expert in your area, so they know that when they pay, they get even more. If you don't want to say anything, then why should they work with you? Because they don't even know, if you're good or not.
Exactly. That's so. So let's talk a little bit about how does your book Start Your Dream Business. So how do you start your dream business, the business of your dreams? I mean, it sounds like you've pretty much told us a little bit of those secrets, but maybe there's a process.
I don't really think there's a process. I think that everything comes your determination that you have. And I'm happy because I learned an English expression recently, because I knew how to say it in French. I didn't know how to say it in English. But it's what you have in your guts, what your guts tell you to do. So if you have, and I don't know if it's a good or bad expression, but I learned that the other day. Somebody told me that. And it's really, when I started my business, I didn't want to start a business. I didn't plan to make multiple six figures or something. I just wanted to be able to travel and to come to the United States. That's the only reason. So that was my dream. So other people have probably other dreams. But the thing is, I didn't know how it will start, if it will work, when I will be able to move. But I had this big determination. And I wanted to do something that I like. So what I say to people to have the dream business is really, what do you want to do? What do you like to do? What is your passion? So of course, not every passion will be profitable. So you have to make sure that whatever is your passion, there's a market for it. So you do some research, but the problem is most of the people, they just start a business overnight, which I did, but it took me a while to get there. But now we have more, with internet, you can learn more from other people. You can learn more from coaches. You can learn more from mentors. And it's really, what do you like to do and how you can put that as a business, how you can make your lifestyle a business and your business a lifestyle, how you can mix both. So it will probably take you a while to see exactly what you want to do. But I always say to people, if you start a business just for the money, just to say, okay, I want to make a lot of money. I know this person, she's doing this business and she's making a lot of money, so I'm going to do the same thing. That won't work. If you don't have the passion and if it's not in you, that won't work. Because at the beginning, you will have to work night and day. When I started my business in France and then I restarted the one in the US, I used to work 14, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for more than a year before I even see some results. So if I didn't have the passion inside of me, I would quit long time ago. So first obstacle, I say, okay, that's not working, so I stop. But I just continue because I knew what was the goal, the end goal. So if you don't have the passion or if you don't have a goal, if you don't have the determination, then you will stop immediately. So see what you like to do, see if there's a market in what you do the research, start with the research online and offline, make sure that you know who is your ideal clients, and then decide how you want to work. Do you want to work from home? Do you want to be able to travel and do whatever you want? Do you want, like me, to say, I start my business in France, but I know at some point I will move it to the US. So then if I had only local clients, that wouldn't work for me because I would lose the clients when I moved to the US. So I built a business because I knew that at the short term, I will move the business. Same thing when I was living in New York. I always wanted to move to New York, so I did it. And then 8 years ago, I came to see a friend for 3 days in Miami. Never been to Miami or Florida before. And then at the end of the 3 days, she said, what do you think of Miami? I said, I'm moving. She said, what? And she knew me for like 15 years. And she knew that for me, there was not even United States. It was New York, period. And I said, I'm moving with the weather. I mean, it's so cold in New York now, more and more. And now it's, so if I didn't build that business that I can move everywhere online or working now with Skype and all that kind of things, I couldn't have this business. So I even grew my lifestyle coming to Miami, living to where I live now, to have the view on the ocean. And in front of me, I have a golf course and I see flamingo and all. Well, I would never have that if I didn't have the end goal to say, I want to do only what I love and I want to work only with the people that I appreciate. So I think the dream business is really, what do you want to do, but what do you want to do? What do you like to do? But you need to know in advance, what do you want to do? It's just not say, I start overnight and we'll see what happens. And then first obstacle, you say, oh, that's too complicated. So after 3 or 6 months, I don't get any clients, I don't get any money, I go back to find a job. So it's really important to know what is your end goal.
And you know what, that's another great point, because a lot of times, well, they say that 90% of new businesses give up the first year. And sometimes it takes longer than that. And my businesses, for certain, all of my businesses have taken, 2, 3, 4 more years. My internet marketing business, because I started part-time, I was doing something else full-time, probably took 7 years before I became well-known in what I do. And now I, like you, I'm sure, and although my business primarily comes from LinkedIn and Twitter, yours comes from Facebook, I still get contacts from Facebook asking, do I do this? Do I do that? And the other thing I've learned is that I only do the things, not only that I love, but that I'm really good at. I can do anything. I think we all can if we put our minds to it and we like it enough. But is it what you really want
just to go to what you just said? It's funny because when I arrived in New York, I said, well, you know, this is New York, this is the United States, everything is big. So in 3 months, 6 months, I will be rich and famous. And it didn't happen that way. But the funny thing is that everybody, when I was doing the event, said, well, you know, Biba, you have to be realistic. It won't happen in 3 to 6 months. You need 2 to 3 years. And I said to everybody, are you kidding me? I don't have the time and I don't have the money to wait for 2 to 3 years. But then I did what I had to do. And because, again, I had these goals and this determination, even sometimes it was not always easy. Something that I don't share very often, but when I did the transition between France and New York, I lived in the Bronx for 1 year. I would never think that one day I will live in the Bronx. Plus, I lived with 3 other people. I was 40 something. I never lived with other people. I always lived with my parents when I was young, or I had my own place. So I had to do what I had to do. You know, I didn't have the money to have my own space at first. I was having my place and my home in France, and I still had to pay something. I live in a place where there is roaches, where there is a 6th floor without elevator. So you do what you have to do. But the only reason that I accepted to do that is because I know that at the end, I know what I want. So I can go back for a little. I leave my great place in France and go back to the Bronx, which in France, everybody told me that I was crazy, that they will kill me or something. I said, you don't even know the Bronx. What are you talking about? But, you know, you accept to do things that you probably normally won't do. But if you have the determination and if you know what you want at the end, you will accept to do that. And then, you know, it took me 2-3 years exactly, you know, in order to see the difference. And then suddenly you see like a switch and you say, what's happening in my business suddenly? Everybody knows who I am. How did that happen? But it's because all the work that you did in the year before.
It's never giving up.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's talk about your other book, the Connect, Communicate, and Convert Without Selling. How do you recommend attracting clients without selling?
Well, that's the new ebook that's coming up very soon, within 1 or 2 weeks. I'm just doing the final touch. It's really what I teach to clients, because I said the problem is the biggest mistake is people try to sell all the time. You go to a networking event, you have somebody who wants to sell the product. You go online, people invite you to join them as a friend or on LinkedIn, and then the next message is, oh, you should buy my product. That won't work, because especially now with internet and social media, we receive so many messages, like every day, 100 messages and more. We don't want to hear, and every message is buy my stuff, buy my stuff. So the formula that I use is connect, communicate, and convert, because when you connect online, because that's where you find the people, you communicate in a different way with giving information and valuable information. So people see that, well, again, people see that you give a lot and you give all the good stuff that you can have. And then people like who you are. They like who you are, what you do, because they will buy you before they buy your service. So your personal branding is very important. They like you. And then when they like you and then they know that you're professionals, then they will decide to come and work with you. So that's why the video testimonials are very interesting also, because that's how it brings you people. And I invite people to do conversation. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm doing a conversation with people. And the conversation will convert to a client. If it's the right person, if it's the right moment. Not every conversation will end with a client, but that's how I get most of my clients, with strategization. Because when people come to that strategization, they already know who I am, what I do, how it works, the result that I have, and they made the decision. They say, that's with the person that I want to work with. So that's how you convert the people, because they like who you are, they like what you do, and then they decide to work with you. And then that's what I teach also. When they made the decision to come to you and not trying to sell them anything, they will pay you whatever your price is. Even if you 3 times, 10 times more expensive than other people, they want you and nobody else. So they're ready to work with you. Or maybe they're not ready yet, because I have people who come and say, I have somebody like last month, she said, I want to work with you. I went to the bank. I already had the loan. I don't have to sell anything. She arrives, she already knows what she wants. And you have other people who said, Like I had this morning, I started the session with a client who just started with me. We had the session maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and she said, well, I follow you for the last 2 years. I'm tired of having a business that it's not working. I see what you do. I see the testimonials again. I see your webinar. I see all that kind of thing. So I'm ready to work with you. But I don't have the money. But I'm going to find the money. And then so she was supposed to take 2-3 weeks to find the money. And 3 days later, she came back and she said, I have the money. When can we start? So when people are ready to work with you, even if it's now or in the future, because they have to find the finance eventually, they know that they want to work with you. You don't have to sell them anything. They just saw you. They just saw you everywhere. And that's, once again, it's important to be present and omnipresent with good stuff. And then they make a decision to buy. And so that way you never have to sell and you never have to chase clients.
That is so true. So let's talk a little bit about some, and you've made a more good points, like about pricing. We could probably spend so much time just talking about pricing strategy, and our time is almost up. So I'm going to ask you a couple of last questions, and then I'm going to say maybe you could come back and we could talk more in detail about some of the things you mentioned, like pricing. I think that's a huge concern of people. When do you raise your prices? How do you price your prices? You have to do things obviously that are comfortable with you, for you, and that you feel comfortable doing. I know it took me a long time to raise my prices, and it wasn't that I didn't know the information. I was worried I'd price myself out of the ballpark and that nobody would be able to afford me. But the funny thing was, the moment I raised my prices, I got better clients.
Absolutely.
So, and not that my clients weren't great before, it's just that it's hard to grow a business when you're selling small.
Absolutely.
So you have to think about selling big.
And
so
actually, that's one of the first things that I do with my client when they start working with me is to raise the price. So very often they work per hour, and I say no more per hour. So I have a lot of clients who sell, $50 or $60 or euro an hour, and I say now we change and we do packages. And then they say, but if I can't sell at 50, how I can sell at 400? I said, don't worry, I will show you how to do it. And actually, I have one of my clients who, after just one session, so she stopped the business for 2 years. So it's not like she started from scratch, but she stopped the business. So you have to restart everything. And then in the first session, we work on our ideal clients and the packages. And then we put like 4 packages, and the highest one was 2,500 euro. Within 2 weeks, she sold 4 of them. The highest one, not the small one, but the highest one. So that's where people think that, you put the lower price and you will have more clients. And that's when with the experience, because I did the same mistake at the beginning. And with the experience, you realize the more higher you are, the more quality you have also with the clients, because they also have more determination, because they want to have a return on their investment. But when you know the formula, that will be much easier to raise your price. And you can raise your price overnight, and that works fine.
And, when you do, you not only work with better clients, but you find you have more free time.
Absolutely.
To really work on helping them more. You can work with less clients and work with them and work deeper in their funnels and helping them really establish their businesses much better. I totally agree. Then what's one of the, did I ask these questions already? Yeah, I did. Okay. So thank you, LaTanya, for the wonderful comment you make about asking great questions. Well, I happen to be a writer. I love to write. And one of my websites is called We Magazine for Women. It's been online since 2006. Biba's been featured in there a couple of times, as have probably thousands of women by now. And we inspire, we promote, and we inform is our tagline. And we love to interview women. And that's what we do. A lot of the content is interviewing women. So I spend a lot of time in thinking about questions, which is one of the reasons sometimes this can be a little challenging, because I try to, even though I have generic questions that I ask everybody, I try to make the questions pertinent to my guest. So obviously, I'm hoping that we're getting, and it looks like we're really getting to the meat of all of the things that you do. We're going all over the place, and thank you all for paying attention and listening and trying to keep up.
We give a lot of information, but again, the more information that you give, people will probably keep some of them, but then they come back to see
Yes.
you, and they come back to learn more, and they come back to your website. But that's what I like to give a lot of information, because I know that that's helped so many people.
Well, people hear what they need to hear at the time anyway. So it doesn't really matter if you give too much information. If they take out the things that they need, that's really the most important part of it. So what do you say to people when they tell you that social media is a waste of time? Because I know you're like me, you're on
Absolutely.
everything.
Well, I'm telling them that they're losing a lot of money, that they have to start now. They don't have to start necessarily to be on every platform immediately, because that can be overwhelming, but they have to decide which is the platform that works the best for them. And some will be Facebook, or the Twitter, or the LinkedIn, or Google Plus, doesn't matter. But according to your business, decide which one works the best and the one you're more comfortable. And then you work with that one for maybe a month or maybe 3 months. So you get used to it. You know how it works. You get result, and then when you get result, you say, okay, that's really works. So you continue, and really you will notice that not only you will have more clients, but then also with social media and internet in general, suddenly your business can become global, because you can have clients from all over the world and you stay behind your computer. Well, unless if you sell, a physical product, but especially if you sell services, and I guess a lot of people who follow us today sell services or coaches or therapists or something like that. So that's really easy to do. And then suddenly you can double, triple your business easily, because you're not only going local and people will live around you. So really you have to be on social media. It's not like, at the beginning, a few years ago when it started, people say, oh yeah, this is a new thing, and within 6 months it will disappear. But we are years later and it's still there, and more and more. And when you notice also the big brand, the big companies, what they do and where they promote, you will notice that they use social media a lot also. So if they are spending a lot of money on social media, means it's working. So we don't have to spend millions like they do, but we have to be there and we have to learn how it works. And if you need to take to buy a program to learn how to use social media or to work with a coach, well, then do it, because again, you will see your return on your investment, because you waste your time if you don't know what to do. So you can spend the whole day and don't get any result. But if you know what to do within 15 minutes a day, as I said, you will don't start with 15 minutes a day. But when you know how to do it, at some point it will take you only 15 minutes a day, and you will get clients that way. So you definitely need to be on social media.
Another good point. I only spend 15 minutes a day on my own stuff. Now I spend more on my client stuff because they may have more needs or different needs, but on my own, I only spend about 15 minutes. And LaTanya has a great question, but before, well, let me say that. She says, I have a Facebook group called Good Girls Gone Goddess. I really want to engage the fabulous women there on topics that connect. Which platform would you choose to engage and have conversations? Via video, Skype, Google Hangout, or here on Blab? So Biba, what do you recommend? Because this is your first day on Blab. She's a Blab newbie, but not.
I'm a Blab version, and I already have 741 applause. So who can ask best? So, well, I would say that it's when you say video, Skype, Google Hangout, it's really what you feel the best, when you feel confident. I mean, I know that I'm not technology, so I don't use Google Hangout either. I do my webinar with GoToWebinar, and now that I know how to use it, I stick to it. But it really depends on what you're comfortable. If you're comfortable to, I think Google Hangout, seems easy, even if I don't use it. But Blab doesn't seem too complicated. So, you have to do something that will be easy also for the person that you want to connect with. And if you want to do interview, like that, well, we had even few issues because my computer didn't want to get into Blab. But other than that, it was not complicated. So really, always choose what works best for you and what you like the most. And then you add another, you can start with Skype, and then you can start Periscope also if you want. That seems to be easy. I never did one, but that seems very easy. So just look around and see what works the best for you.
Well, let me just say this: if you're, and I agree totally. if you, Zoom.us is a great platform if you wanted to have private conversations and have a group setting. We do our masterminds. Christina Rowe and I have a mastermind called Virtual Business Mastery Mastermind that we do every week. And it's an online, all virtual, and we meet weekly and do a training. We're going to, in fact, be talking about Blab in a couple of weeks. We'll be doing a whole hour of training on Blab and how to use it once we figure it out. No, I know, it's just that there are certain little challenges. But I personally, now having used all of them, love Blab. Now, Google Hangouts to me is a little more complicated. It was great when it first came out because it took over where other webinar platforms didn't, and the fact that you could integrate it right with video. But you made a great point. I think it has to be what you're comfortable with and what your audience would be comfortable with. So I would say maybe poll a few of the people who participate the most in your Good Girls Gone Goddess group and ask them if they've used Blab. I will tell you, if they haven't, they're probably interested and would like to. And you can certainly test all of them and then see which one works the best in terms of the results once you're finished too, because it isn't just about how it works now, but you have to be able to, get the videos and everything. Blab gives you the video and the audio when it works, but I've had times when it hasn't sent me. Yes, Zoom allows for private. And the reason I say that is because you have to have the link to get in. So it's zoom.us. So you can have private group coaching, private classes, private conversations. It's really wonderful. It records it all for you and you can share it. I love Zoom for our mastermind, but for an open forum, I think Blab is probably going to be the way to go for a while until the next bling thing comes along. And the other thing you mentioned was about being comfortable. I tell my clients, go on the channels and get comfortable with them, because here's the thing. Everybody is looking for you on these social channels. So if they don't find you, they wonder what's wrong. So for me, I tell my clients, I'm sorry, if you don't like social media, that's one thing, but your clients probably do. So you need to at least have a presence there. That doesn't mean you got to spend all your time like I do on Twitter. I'm a Twitterholic, and I want to say shout out to Roy, because Roy is the reason I'm a Twitterholic. I love Roy Montero. He taught me about Twitter. He told me, go run, don't walk, run and go get your Twitter name. And I did exactly what he said. That was when they only didn't even have 1 million people then. And it took them a couple of years to get to 1 million. And gosh, within 3-4 months, Blab is, I don't know, in the six figures, millions and millions of people are on Blab and Periscope. So, you really need to just test them all. I'm not a huge fan of Skype, only because I've had challenges with it, but I've been on programs on Skype and been interviewed, and I love it. I don't know. I want the lowest common denominator of technology possible, the easiest way for me to do something. So for me, I'm like you. I'm not a technophobe, but I'm certainly not a techno geek either. I know how to use the tools. It's more about the marketing.
And my mastermind is the same as you. It's completely virtual because people are in different countries. And I use Skype because that's easy for people also. Personally, I never had problem with Skype, so I love it. And then again, I can record it, the audio, I can record the video. So, sometimes during the mastermind, I show them something on the screen. So then I can send them the video. And if we're just talking, I just send them the audio. So it's easy for me. That's my comfort level with Skype. And then it's easy. And then for the webinar, personally, I prefer GoToWebinar, but because I learn on how to do it. And now I'm comfortable with it. So I know that I tested Google Hangout a few times. I never started a Google Hangout, but I was a guest on Google Hangout. So it seems to be not complicated. But again, my comfort zone is GoToWebinar. So I just continue with them, and I have a great service. So I have no reason to go somewhere else. But then for sure, and it's kind of difficult now to keep up with all the things like Periscope. It seems that there's a new one all the time. So it's not easy to keep up with everything, but then, we have to go out of our comfort zone sometime to start just to do it. Like the same way when we started doing video, we didn't want to do video because we thought it would be too complicated. And I remember it took me more than a year to make the decision to start my first video. I think I did the first one in 2009, but it took me more than a year to say, I should do video. And then one day I did a video and said, oh, that's not complicated. So let's do video.
Yeah.
Yeah. So We have to be brave sometimes.
So true. You do. You have to be brave. That should be the motto of the Entrepreneur Show. You must be brave. And Roy made a comment or gave another suggestion called appear.in for private rooms. Easy peasy and no download necessary. Thank you, Roy. Everybody check out appear.in and see, I mean, there's so many tools out there. I think freeteleconference.com now has a video feature that you can try. And I don't even remember what we did back in the day, Roy, in 2000. I think I've known Roy since 2005 or 6. And we had something before GoToWebinar was even in existence. And we were doing these crazy little webinars that I loved it. It was so fun. And it was really easy. And then all the other stuff came on board and they started charging a lot of money. So I like inexpensive when possible. If you can get the quality. Absolutely. You need to make sure that you keep the quality. So, Biba, I have a couple of last questions because we're almost out of time. I understand you have a tip or resource of the week. Would you please share that with our audience?
Yeah, actually, I have to remember which one it is. I know that I put it. Yeah, of course. It's really to have a goal for your business and for your life every week. For example, in my mastermind, my members, they meet every Monday by Skype, and I ask them to share 2 business goals and 1 personal for pleasure. Because especially when we're solo entrepreneur, it's easy to say, oh, I want to do this, but then, we become busy and then we don't do it. So when you have a goals, when you write your goals, and then when you mention your goals to other people, you have more chance to realize it. Because especially if you're in a mastermind, and I know that the reason why you do mastermind also, Heidi, it's very important to share with other people, because when we're on our own, it's sometimes difficult to go around our family or members or friends, because if they're not entrepreneur, they don't understand what we do. So we can't share everything with them. But if you are in a mastermind and if you mention your goals every week, then you have to do it. Of course, if you don't do it, nobody will tell you anything, nobody will beat you anything. But then at some point you will realize, oh, I heard for the last 3 weeks, I said I didn't reach my goals, but the other people, they did it. And then I noticed that now they have new clients, now they make more money, now they have a business that it works very well. So it's very important that not only you wrote your goals for the week, and I tell them don't put more than 2, because other than that, they will be overwhelmed and they won't do it. So decide two goals for your business and 1 goals for pleasure, because it's important to have a balance in your life. And then make sure that you share them with people, or either you in a mastermind, or you share them on your Facebook page, you share them in a group if you're in a group. But mention it to people, because first of all, it's one thing to write it. It's a second thing to mention to the world. And then it pushes you in order to do it. So really having a goals every month for your business, it's really a booster.
Absolutely. It's the minute you say it out loud or write it down, it becomes real. And that's the difference between a dream and a goal, is that you write it down, it becomes a goal. And then when you share it with other people, they help hold you accountable. Because I've had people, when I've said, okay, I'm going to have this done or this done, whatever. And in our mastermind group, the same thing. We have accountability partners. We make sure that, we stay on track with people. Look, things happen in life. We had one woman, her mother passed away. And so she wasn't in the group for 3 weeks, and she was very far behind, and she was feeling really bad. And so we invited her to start over. Because the thing is that if you start over, you have a different mindset than feeling like when you're behind. And it helped her so much. And I think so she's going to be in our new mastermind. And so I put down the name of the mastermind, Business Mastery Mastermind. And tell us how to get a hold of you, Biba. What's the best way to connect with the Connection Queen?
Well, I actually say recently the Connection Queen is gone, because my website used to be theconnectionqueen.com, but since a month now it's bibapedron.com, and for the US version you /en for the US version, so it's bibapedron.com/en for the website. And then the best way to find me is on Facebook. So you see Biba Pedron, you will find my personal page, but my business page is facebook.com/Biba Pedron Fans with an S, and that's where you will find me. And let me know that Excellent. You were online, and let's connect.
Well, yes. And so everybody make sure you check out Biba Pedron. If you're French speaking, just go to bibapedron.com and you'll find her and all her beautiful, you've got some amazing resources and tools. I've learned, again, so much from you. I just wanted to say thank you very much. And LaTanya said to remember to tweet here on the blab, then continue a real conversation. May require having another person handle that wife. You're right. Actually, LaTanya, usually when I do this, I have a program with my co-partner, Christina, and we do a program every Tuesday at 11:30. And I run the side part and do the typing, and she does the talking, and then I interject, and it works out really great. And you're right. You do need someone to do that. These are a little more casual conversations, but Biba, you have given so much great information today. I am just thrilled when I can reconnect with women like you and men like Roy, who I've known for literally years and years online, and continue to learn. Please follow Biba, check out all her things, stalk her on social media, as I like to say.
And check Facebook too for my new ebook coming soon.
And her new ebook coming soon. And also check out goldenmouseaward.com, because that's the award that we're presenting in October for women who, we call them our unsung heroes. They may not be everyday, they're everyday celebrities in their industry, but maybe not in the world. And so our goal is to get everybody to know about them. So check out goldenmouseaward.com. Biba, again, was one of our honorees last year. And thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. And thank you, everybody, for all the applause.
Yes. And I'll put that in there. And if anybody wants to put your contact email or, websites in the chat to save it, that would be great. Biba, thanks again.
Thanks very much. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.